Okay, the stream should be up. I just need to double check some last minute things. Alright, we're just gonna wait for some people to get in the chat before we start. Hello, everybody. Hello, hello. Is this working? Alright, guys. Alright, I see a lot of people in the chat, so yeah, people are saying it's working, so okay, we can start then. So, welcome to this channel's first ever live stream. I've never done this before, so this is gonna be my first live stream that I'm doing, especially just on my own channel, and the first one I'm doing solo. So if I fuck anything up, just please be patient with me because it's gonna take me some time to figure out how to fix things. And yeah, I don't even know how I'm gonna be able to answer your questions through Q&A. Holy shit, the chat! Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay, I didn't expect this many people, so yeah, anyway, so I planned this live stream for a while, and it's been like 2 or 3 months ago that I asked. I put on a poll on whether or not you guys wanted to see a live stream, and I think the overwhelming majority of you guys wanted to see this. So, sorry for being late. I wanted to do this much earlier, but it's just so hard on my schedule since normally it's just easier for me to actually plan like 5 hours during the week and spread it out over a few days and actually get a video done to be released that weekend rather than plan a specific time where I can sit down and just say, okay, I'm going to do a live stream. So hopefully I'm going to do this more in the future, but sorry for being late again. It's completely my fault, but I won't give you guys blue balls again. This will be the last time. Holy shit, I need to turn on slow mode or something. So anyway, yeah. So the way I wanted to format this live stream is that I'm going to be going over a Jehovah's Witness website. Basically, one day I was just walking outside. There was a nice old lady who came up to me and gave me a brochure. And I thought it would be some advertisement for something new that just opened up nearby. But I opened it up, and obviously it was just something that it was a Jehovah's Witness made brochure, and they're basically giving us 5 questions on why you should doubt evolution and why you should believe that God created everything and whatnot. So I thought it'd be a good idea to go through it. I wanted to make a regular video on this, but since I normally do video responses and responding to a website, it's just kind of boring. So I thought it would be better to do this in a live stream. And the other thing I want to do while I'm simultaneously going over this website is to read any questions that you guys have. So if you have any questions you have for me, I'll answer them in a Q&A style. Of course, that was the original plan, but there's quite a lot of you in the chat, so I don't know how I'm definitely not going to be able to answer all of your questions. So if your question doesn't get answered, feel free to just put it back into the, you can repeat it again in the chat. Hopefully I'll see it the second time. And also, if you tag me, I'm also more likely to see it. So if you have like a legit question, you can tag me. Hopefully, they'll filter out a lot of the spam that a lot of people are putting in. I considered putting on slow mode, but I didn't think there'd be this many people. Wow. Okay. Holy shit. What is my stance on pineapple on pizza? I think it's a disgrace. No, I'm just kidding. I don't care. I think it's pretty good. Okay, I'm trying to figure out how to turn on slow mode, but jeez. Okay. $6 in the super chat by 0132 What kind of questions we supposed to ask? Also, I clicked the money icon. Does this mean I get money from you? Thanks. No, I'm pretty sure you donate money to me if you click that icon. Thank you for your donation. Just ask me anything that comes to mind. It could be about me. It could be about my opinion on anything. I'm here to answer any question really, but of course some people ask really troll questions, and I find that people tend to do that a lot. Like I've done videos before where I said, ask me questions, I'll answer it in the next video, and then I've like the vast majority of those questions are just troll questions. So I think if you ask a troll question, I'm gonna be less likely to respond. I think that's gonna be the rule. Who's dumber, flat earthers or hollow earthers? I think flat earthers are much dumber. Oh God, thank you for the $20. GPC channel live. What is your stance on pineapple on pizza on pineapple? I think it's fine. You can eat whatever you want without being judged. Thanks for the question though. Thanks for the donation. $10 from last match in the box. I'm not a theist, but how do we have genetic diversity given the mitochondrial Eve? Just curious. So mitochondrial Eve is a specific set of DNA that we have. So we have nuclear DNA, which exists in our nucleus, and the other set of DNA we have is actually resides in our mitochondria. The theory is that before, long ago, when prokaryotes, when single-celled organisms were still a thing, basically a somewhat eukaryotic cell engulfed a prokaryotic cell, and then as a result, they formed a mutual relationship, and then the prokaryotic cell was able to basically come in and provide energy for this eukaryotic cell, as long as this eukaryotic cell was able to provide protection for this prokaryotic cell. So it was basically a mutual relationship, and that was obviously very favored, so it became the norm today. As a result, however, you can treat the mitochondria as like an organelle that's inside the cell, but ultimately it started off as its own organism, and you can tell that just because it has its own set of DNA. So when we're talking about mitochondrial Eve, or if we're talking about tracing the DNA through your mother's line, it means we're going backwards, looking at your mitochondrial DNA, not your nuclear DNA. So the mitochondrial DNA actually encodes different things than your nuclear DNA. When we talk about DNA, when we talk about evolution, when we're talking about whatever really in biology, we're mostly referring to nuclear DNA. So just know that the mitochondrial DNA is just a separate set compared to the ones that we're used to talking about. But good question. Professor Stick, are you Asian? I don't know about that. Pretty sure I'm a stick figure that is gray. All right. Anyway, I don't want to keep answering questions because I'm hoping to have this live stream last for about an hour, at most an hour and a half if I want to actually, spend more time on this. If I don't go through the whole thing, I need half an hour more, then I'll be happy to stay a bit longer. But I do have something planned later, so I can't stay for more than an hour and a half. Sorry for those of you who freed up like 3 hours of your weekend to watch this. I can't stay for 3 hours. Professor Stick, what do you think is the dumbest theory besides flat Earth? I don't know. I don't know if there's much that really tops the idea of flat Earth. Flat Earth is pretty extreme in and of itself. But I would say, I don't know. I heard that like 4% of Americans or something think that all the politicians are secretly lizard people, or something like that. I don't know, but that's probably more dumb than the flat Earth. Okay. Anyway, I want to get started. So this area, this website is, they ask 5 fundamental questions, or 5 questions that they pretty much want to spark doubt in people who believe in evolution, I guess, and abiogenesis and the beginning of life. They have but each of the questions is not just simple questions. They have like paragraphs upon paragraphs elaborating their question and then going into more detail saying, why you should believe that God created everything. Mostly they're just saying, oh, look at this. This thing in biology is really impressive. Therefore, it must have been God who created it. It's mostly that. So if we see any of that, we're just going to power through them. They have an intro, which is they titled The Student's Dilemma, so we're just going to go through that real quick. Okay. I'm just going to read it and then just, I guess, do a general response to it. Peter shifts uneasily in his chair, a knot forming in his stomach. His teacher, a woman he respects, has just finished describing how Charles Darwin and his theory of evolution advanced scientific understanding and liberated mankind from superstitious beliefs. Now she has invited her students to express their opinions on this topic. Peter faces a dilemma. His parents have taught him that God created the earth and all life on it. They say that the Bible's account of creation is trustworthy and that evolution is simply a theory, one not supported by the evidence. Peter's teacher and his parents all mean well, but whom should Peter believe? Now, of course, I get a lot of questions when people ask me, like, oh, if the teacher and your parents, if they say something that contradict each other, which one should you actually believe? And of course, the general rule that I usually follow, I guess, is that if it's something that to do with like morality or your ethics or your manners or how you should behave, how you should perform like family traditions and whatnot, that's obviously something a good thing to like listen to your parents and whatnot. But something like educational, I think more leans to the teachers. Of course, it depends on what type of school you're going to, but judging by this article here, it seems like that he goes to some public school in the U.S. or something. But in general, I would say that. Of course, it's just very difficult, and it depends on what your teachers and what your parents are telling you. But of course, something like this, I'm obviously on the stance of listen to your teachers. Religious people, they just like to indoctrinate and stuff. I mean, in school, when you learn about something, they go like, oh, especially in science, they say, here's how we know this. Or maybe not so much in middle and high school, but a lot in college. When you learn about biology, they say, okay, this is the fact, this is something that we know, and this is how we know it, and it tells you the evidence, rather than the religion, which is say, just believe in this because of this fucking book. Oh, I gotta catch up on Super Chat. Hey, it's Professor Thick. I remember you. $50. Wow. Thank you. Thank you. Long time no see, Stick. It's great you're back. It's great to be back. Thank you. Thank you. Glad to see you back as well. I saw you on Discord a long time ago, and then you just stopped going on. And then I stopped going on. Thank you, Telltale, for $2. Nice to see you here as well. If you guys haven't seen Telltale's channel yet, it's really amazing. He goes into a lot of in-depths about cults and stuff. And, this is a Jehovah's Witness website, and he does a lot of Jehovah's Witness content. So, it's great. Just go check him out if you haven't seen his content already. All right. Professor Stick, what is wrong with Miles? I don't have anything really against Miles. I don't know. I just think the metric system is just so much more superior, and I just make fun of it. So don't take me seriously when I go like, oh, fucking Miles. Like, no, I'm completely joking. $2 from Jack Boyer. Earth is a hyperbolic paraboloid. Pringle shaped. Yes, it is. I think that's one of the top comments I get from a lot of my flat earth videos. People are saying the earth is actually, a fidget spinner shape or like a cube or something. I don't know. It's funny. You have no idea how many comments there are that are like that. But yeah. Hey, sorry if I get behind on chat, guys. What about yards? I'm okay with yards too. I mean, I see yards, miles, ounces and whatnot. It's sort of the same way as I see miles. It's kind of like I'm like, grr, fucking Americans. No, I don't actually think that, but I just wouldn't use it myself unless like somebody else uses it and I'm trying to respond, trying to keep it in context and whatnot. If they say miles, I'll use miles and stuff. I mean, I'm kind of also used to miles since, when I drive and whatnot, it's like everything is in fucking miles in the US. Professor Stick, how old are you? I am 23 right now. Okay, $10 from Ian Prado. There's a lot of pseudoscience regarding the health effects of ionizing radiation. Would you consider doing videos debunking the linear no threshold model? I would appreciate it. Yeah, I'll consider. I have a lot of people suggest a lot of things to me, and so in terms of health effects, there's always so many things to talk about. People are always claiming this will either cure something or this other thing will like destroy your body and whatnot. And, like, I don't know where these people get these things from. I don't know if it's just for attention and they just know they're bullshitting or whatnot. I don't know. It's just, I have plans to make a lot of videos and stuff. And that's something that I'll definitely consider. Thank you for the suggestion. $4 from Jackson Gorney. What is your favorite thing to debunk? Not flat Earth. Flat Earth, I hate debunking flat Earth. I don't know why I do it. It's like for you guys or something. My favorite thing is obviously something to do with medicine, I guess. It's cancer specifically, because a few months ago, I don't work there anymore, but I was in a cancer research lab on ovarian cancer. And I sort of had a really big fascination for cancer. So that's sort of how I really got into it. I guess debunking things that people make, like claims about cancer, that's definitely the most fun for me because I feel like it's something that I could do, Not many people on YouTube are going to debunk, like cancer cures that people are hypothesizing. It's not really something you see on YouTube. So I feel like it's one of those things that I could do. Like, of course, flat earth, creationism, whatnot, anyone could really do that. But cancer, not many people can really do that. So I feel like that's something that I should focus more of my attention on, even though those videos don't really get as many views. $2 from Stats are for losers. Thoughts about evolutionary creationism. If you believe in evolution and you're also like you're an old Earth creationist, that's obviously better than being a young Earth creationist. But of course, as like a scientist, I guess you can't really. It's still kind of a violation of the scientific method, because the scientific method heavily emphasizes the burden of proof. You make a claim, you have to be able to prove it you have to be able to prove it with evidence. Otherwise, we dismiss your claim. Something like evolutionary creationism, people who believe in evolution but creation at the same time, and sort of like these are the way I see it is that these people just believe, in their religion, and then when science comes along and says that their religion isn't necessarily true, then they kind of just bend it and distort it just to fit with the scientific narrative. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of moving the goalpost. You're never really going to be able to disprove these people because no matter what, God would have been involved somehow, even though God might not have done it in the original way. Like, they're just going to keep shifting their position, I guess. But obviously, they're much better than young Earth creationists who are just outright denying science. At least they're accepting scientific discoveries. Oh God, I feel like I can't even keep up with the super chat. Thank you guys for the donations. Saw $5 from Samarady. I don't know how to say that. Saw Heath's live stream announcement. So you three are going into an actual church or watching a stream from a church. From what I know, it's just a video that's on YouTube or something. Heath actually he did send me a preview on what we're going to be responding. I didn't really see much of it yet, but I think that's the case. I don't think we're going into an actual church or something. And if we were doing an IRL live stream, oh my God, I don't even know how people are able to do IRL live streams. They're impressive. I don't know how I can walk in public with a camera. It feels so weird to me. Okay. Let's see. $10 from Yoshi0125. Hey, Professor Stick. Greetings from Switzerland. To thank you for your videos, I'm giving you 9.29 Swiss francs. Thank you. Have you graduated in scientific discipline? If so, which one? I just have a bachelor's in biology. So it's nothing really impressive. It's just a bachelor's. I mean, people are coming in going like, oh, what's your PhD in? Because I guess my name is Professor Stick. I guess people are sort of just expecting me to be a professor, but I'm not actually a professor. I just made this name kind of on the fly. I don't know. $10 from DB Cisco. Question everything. Yes, question everything. $1 from the Pro 2017. Thank you. Oh, actually, that's £1. Holy shit. Thank you. John Smith. $2.79. What is your opinion on Shintoism? It's fine. It's not. I made I had a video that was somewhat on sort of on Shintoism before. I think. Let me think. It was quite a while back, but it was like a 4-minute video where I was talking about atheism and agnosticism. Yeah. So if you want to check that out, I think I did briefly talk about it. So yeah, I'm probably not going to repeat myself right now. I am sort of short of time. Like, holy shit, it's been 20 minutes already and I haven't even gotten through the first section. So I'm just gonna keep going, and I'll try to keep up with the super chat as much as I can, but sorry if I can't get to everything. Okay. Each school year, scenarios like the above play out in thousands of classrooms around the globe. What should Peter and students like him do? Would you not agree that they really need to make up their own minds on this matter? They need to examine the evidence for evolution and for creation and then decide for themselves which they will believe. Yes. Yes, you know what? I'm all for people thinking for themselves, but creationists or religious people can be very hypocritical when they say this. When they're talking about evolution or the beginning of life, they're saying, "Oh, you should let people think for themselves. Don't indoctrinate them in schools." However, when you learn about evolution, you're actually learning it in like high school, or at least when I learned about evolution, I was in high school. I don't know about other people, but I know some people do learn it in middle school and whatnot. But by then, you are pretty old already. I'd say you are old enough to start making your own decisions on things. So it's not like this is being really indoctrinated to children when they were kids. It's not like you bring 5-year-old children to the classroom and then we're like, oh, humans came from apes and whatnot, like, and then on the flip side, you have creationists who have indoctrinated the children since they were like 5 years old or since they were 2 or 3 years old. And how, like, aren't you being so hypocritical when you're saying this, trying to criticize evolution or people who teach evolution to children? Because you're doing that exact thing. You're indoctrinating them and you're not allowing them to think for themselves. Because when children are that young, they don't have the brain capacity to actually think for themselves. So what the fuck? Okay. Super chat. 4.99 from Jack Edwards. Thank you. What dimension do you live in? Because I've been to both the third and fourth dimension and haven't found you yet. Well, you see, the stick dimension is actually not in one of the other space or time dimensions. We actually exist in a whole universe on our own. So you're going to have to, be able to cross the interdimensional universe barrier of dimensions in order to reach me. 199 from Top Egg. How old are you? I'm 23 years old. Yes, I am very fucking young, I guess. What made you start doing YouTube and what made you waste your precious brain cells on dumb people? Well, oh my god. I think I shared how I started YouTube before on other live streams, but it's a really, really, it's such a dumb story on how I started YouTube. And I feel bad sharing it because everyone is always like, oh, I wanted to inspire people. I wanted to teach people about this. I wanted to entertain people. I wanted to make a difference in the world. Have people see me, have my voice heard. And I'm just like, oh my God, my reason is actually terrible. It's not terrible. It's just kind of weird. So basically what I did was, it's kind of a long story. I started in college where I was a teaching assistant for like this college biology class. And then when that was over, basically there was kind of a weird system to how it worked, and I wasn't able to do another semester of teaching. And that kind of upset me. So then I was like, oh, let's go online and do tutoring, or let's do something else, because I was really interested in teaching at the time. So I went online and then I started teaching people, biology and other things like online. And then basically the website I was using kind of cucked me eventually after a while. Like they kind of it's hard to explain, but they were suspecting me of doing something that was not in their agreements, and I didn't actually do it, so they kind of cucked me. So then I stopped doing that, and then I was like, holy shit, now my life feels empty. What else am I going to do? So then I was like, yeah, let's just try YouTube. It's such a terrible story, I know. $2 from Pufflupagus. Sorry if I said that wrong. Any chance to do a non-sequitur stream? I don't think I've been invited yet. Or if they invited me, I don't think I saw their invite. But I have been getting a lot of invites from a lot of people, and I've been turning a lot of them down simply because it was just hard for me to just, like I said earlier, it's hard for me to actually sit down and say, I'm gonna sit down and actually do a stream with someone and actually free up my schedule. Then I like to sort of plan my schedule on the fly. So I improvise a lot when it comes to my daily routine. So I really hate just, putting down a schedule, which is why I don't do a lot of live streams. It's easier for me to just go like, oh, I'm available. Just spend a few hours making a video and just release it on the next Saturday. But hopefully I'll do more live streams in the future. I do plan to do more. I don't know. This is pretty fun so far, so at least I'm going to be doing more live streams on my own channel. Telltale, thank you again for $2. You're 23, you're basically a fetus. I know. I remember coming out of the womb just yesterday. I'm so fucking young. Okay. Anyway, I'm going to continue. In fact, the Bible warns against blindly believing what others teach. Blah, blah, blah. Some quotes. I'm not even going to read that. This brochure is not designed to support the efforts of religious groups who want to have creation taught in schools. The purpose of this brochure is to examine claims made by those who teach that life appeared spontaneously and assert that the Bible's account of creation is a myth. Okay, this part at the end kind of annoys me a bit because creationists are always acting as if, scientists who, teach evolution and whatnot are there to kind of get creation, like to disprove God or disprove the authority of God or something. And that's not really the case, okay? Scientists started from nothing. Just imagine that. And then we developed, using evidence, this theory of evolution. We developed the tree of evolution. We determined the Earth is 4.5 billion years old and whatnot. That was done on evidence. We didn't do that because creationists or religious people were saying, oh, God must have created everything, and then we were like, no, God didn't do that. No, we didn't. We're not here to disprove anything. It just so happened that what we discovered contradicted what you believe in, okay? And then you think we're out here trying to get you or something. That's not actually the case, okay? We will focus on the cell because that is the most basic unit of life. You'll be able to review some amazing facts about how cells are built. You will also be asked to analyze the assumptions that underpin the theory of evolution. Great. We're going to talk about the cell because I know a thing or two about cells. $5 from Glenn Lusk. Isn't Telltale Atheist cool? Yeah, he's pretty cool. Just a little bit. Just a little cool. But he's not a stick figure, so he's not that cool. Okay. I'm just going to hop on to the next section here. So this is the first question. How did life begin? $5 from Forhago. If you get out of the shower clean, how does your towel get dirty? Okay, there's actually that's a good question, but there's a good answer to this. It's because when you're showering, you're using like hot water, right? You're using at least warm water. And many people don't know this, but while you're showering, you're actually sweating while you're in the shower. So even after you get out, you have a bunch of sweat on your body. So when you clean that off with your towel, you're getting a bunch of sweat on it, and that's how your towel gets dirty. Good question, though. When you were a child, did you ever startle your parents by asking, where do babies come from? If so, how did they respond? I have a really fun story on what I asked my parents when I was a kid. When I was like 7 years old or something, I asked my parents this question, like, where do babies come from? And of course, being 7 or something, like, they're not going to tell me about how sex works and stuff. So they just gave me some bullshit response. Not bullshit, but yeah, my mom was basically just like, yeah, the mother just takes a pill. You just eat a pill, and then when you eat a pill, the baby forms inside your stomach. And during the time, I also wondered how do babies actually come out of the mother? And of course, during the time, I heard a bit about C-sections, cesarean sections, because my mom had to undergo that simply due to some birth complications. Thank God for modern medicine. But basically, my mom was always like, oh, when I gave birth to you, I had like a knife. Someone slit a knife through my stomach in order to get you out. She was exaggerating and stuff. It was funny. But after that, I was like, yeah, that's how babies are born. A doctor just comes and fucking stabs you. I don't know if you guys have any funny stories, feel free to put them in the chat. Okay. Depending on your age and their personality, your parents might have ignored the question or given you a hurried, embarrassed answer. Or perhaps they told you some fanciful tales they later found to be false. Of course, if a child is to be properly prepared for adulthood and marriage, he or she eventually needs to learn about the wonders of sexual reproduction. Yes, I am all for education of sex and sexual reproduction. Because the more educated people are, the less we will spread sexually transmitted diseases, and, the less we'll have unwanted pregnancies. People won't have to go through abortions as much. We can lower the amount of abortions. And I think that's how we should lower it, is through sex education, not through fucking abstinence or whatnot. Sorry, that was a side point. Just as many parents feel awkward about discussing where babies come from, some scientists seemed reluctant to discuss an even more fundamental question. Where did life come from? Holy shit, I didn't know scientists were reluctant to answer that. Receiving a credible answer to that question can have a profound effect on a person's outlook on life. So how did life begin? Okay, cool story. What do many scientists claim? Many who believe in evolution would tell you that billions of years ago, life began on the edge of an ancient tidal pool or deep in the ocean. They feel that in some such location, chemicals spontaneously assembled into bubble-like structures, formed complex molecules, and began replicating. They believe that all life on Earth originated by accident from one or more of these simple original cells. And, oh, beautiful, right here, they have like a fertilized human egg cell. Let me see if I can enlarge this. Okay. Wait, can you guys see this? Okay, so this is really cool, and I'm gonna get sidetracked here. This is what an egg actually looks like when it's being fertilized through many eggs, not just humans. It also applies to many other animals as well, and it's also not exclusive to mammals. It's basically you have a sperm come in and you fertilize the outside, so it fuses with the egg membrane and empties its contents inside the egg cell. And what happens is the egg has a few mechanisms to make sure that a second sperm doesn't actually come in and fertilize it. So you have many sperms that actually arrive at the egg at once, but only one can get to the egg. The first one gets to it. After the first one gets to it, all the other sperm cells are blocked. So you see this outer second membrane is what happens is this is the zona pellucida. And when one sperm cell fertilizes this, there's a few mechanisms that happen in a chain, but ultimately you have this membrane separate from the original membrane, so it kind of expands out and bloats out, sort of like what you see here. And this is really cool because once this happens, it ensures that a second sperm cell cannot get through this and get to the inner membrane. So that's sort of the purpose of that. Of course, there are many checkpoints to make sure that more than one sperm cell doesn't fertilize an egg, but this is just one of the more assuring ways that happens. Sorry for that rant. It's nice how they actually have a legitimate picture here. I don't know if whoever wrote this actually has some biology knowledge or if he just searched up, fertilized human egg cell. But that's a cool image always to see. All right. $2 from Maximiliano 235. Potato. Yes, I like potatoes too. $10 from Bob. To be fair, you have to have a very high IQ to understand creationism. Do you need a high IQ to understand creationism? Oh, I'm gonna hold off on that. Do you feel your videos are made for people who believe in the truth, or are you trying to reach an audience that may be misinformed and misled about the flat earth, creationism, etc.? When I first started off this channel, I wanted to make it more for people who were here seeking for the truth, or not seeking for the truth, but wanted to hear another opinion that wasn't, their own, I guess. That's sort of how I began. But then, okay, in all honesty, every channel out there are going to be, like, any channel that promotes atheism, that promotes any sort of political stance and whatnot, they're going to be making their videos for the audience that already subscribe to them, because of course these are the people who are going to be the majority of your audience. They're the ones who come back to keep watching your videos. So after time went on, of course, I sort of started making these videos for you guys, for the people who actually watch my content. That's why in a lot of my videos I say, I address the person I'm responding to in a third person sense, like, oh, they said this or whatnot, and then I would address you guys as the audience. I don't know if you guys noticed that. Anyway, other equally respected scientists who also support evolution disagree. Is that so? They speculate that the first cells, or at least their major components, arrived on Earth from outer space. Okay, so if we're going to talk about that okay, so there's a few hypotheses on how life originated, but not just originated in the universe in general. We're talking about originating on Earth because that's the more pressing question. How did life come about on Earth? And one of the answers is obviously abiogenesis. That's probably the most popular hypothesis, and that's the one we're doing a lot of research on. But answering the question of abiogenesis is also going to give us a lot of information on how life did originate overall in the universe. Okay, but other hypotheses on how life came about on Earth was, for example, I've heard that some people say, oh, life could have came from Mars, or life could have came from somewhere in deep space. Basically, you can have these prokaryotic cells, or very resistant, perhaps archaea cells, that are able to survive inside the hearts of meteors or comets or something. And then when they crash into Earth, they can deposit this life onto the favorable environment of Earth, where they can then replicate and flourish and whatnot. That, of course, what creationists would say is that, this would required life to have originated somewhere else. And yes, I agree. I don't think that question answers how did life originate in the universe. That answer would answer how did life originate on Earth, which is kind of a more relevant question to us, really. So that's why we have our focus more on that. Of course, that doesn't mean we're abandoning the idea of abiogenesis in favor of this hypothesis. There's tons of labs right now that have like these closed off tubes, like systems and environments made to mimic early Earth and see what actually comes out naturalistically without human intervention. Okay, why? Because despite their best efforts, scientists have been unable to prove that life can spring from non-living molecules. Is that fucking so? In 2008, Professor of Biology Alexander Mieniz highlighted the dilemma. He stated that over the last 50 years, no empirical evidence supports the hypothesis of spontaneous appearance of life on Earth from nothing but a molecular soup, and no significant advance in scientific knowledge leads in this direction. Okay, so obviously scientists are going to have their own opinions on things, but that doesn't mean that individual scientists don't change what the scientific consensus is, and that's kind of important to know. Just because there are a few scientists that believe, oh, maybe the Big Bang didn't happen, or maybe evolution didn't happen and whatnot, that doesn't change the scientific consensus that it did happen. That's number one. Number two, there are actually we've been able to prove a lot of things just by looking in closed environments that scientists have set up in laboratories mimicking early Earth conditions. Obviously the most famous one, the Miller-Urey experiment. That one, although it was the first one, is the most famous. It's not the only one. There's tons of other ones out there that actually mimic early Earth conditions much better than the Miller-Urey experiment. But we've been able to prove a lot of things right now. Of course, we haven't been able to, create naturalistically, a living thing, but we've been able to do a lot with it already. Like, for example, we were able to prove that amino acids can come about with naturalistic means from inorganic material. And that's largely due to the Strecker synthesis, which I've actually explained in my videos before. The Strecker synthesis is a really good reaction that we use in laboratories to create amino acids for various organic chemistry experimental purposes. And it's also the way that we suspect and has been shown to have happened in early Earth conditions. So we've been able to create the majority of the amino acids that are essential for life. And it's not just that. I've heard someone tell me, I haven't actually looked into this myself, but someone told me that we've also been able to create a phospholipid bilayer. And that would be pretty massive. That would be pretty big, but I haven't actually looked into this myself, so I can't confirm. Ooh, okay, super chat. $5 from Bindle. What do you think of these massive viruses and the virophages that infect them? Do you think we could eventually use them to combat viral infections? Massive viruses and virophages. Do virophages? I've never heard of that. Let me just look it up. Because I'm not sure what you mean by virophages. Are you talking about bacteriophages? I'm not sure if virophages exist. And we would use them to combat bacterial infections. If you guys all saw the Chris Cassatt video, they made a pretty good video on how we can use bacteriophages to eventually solve the problem of superbugs, of antibiotic resistance. Yeah, sorry, I'm not sure what you mean. If you could clarify in the chat, maybe I'll see it. $2.56 from Purple Rhymes with Orange. Are you afraid of dogs trying to fetch you? No, we don't have dogs in the Stick universe, so it's all good. It's all stick figures here. It's as close as you get to a utopia. $10 from Darwinian Realism. Joined late, love the channel, thank you. I want to study biochemistry and do cancer treatment or life extension research. Telomeres, telomerase thoughts on the subjects. My chances of getting into those fields. Okay, I tell this to everyone who tells me that I've inspired them to do to go into science, to study science in college, and to go into research. Ooh, if you haven't gone into, the hard truth is science, natural science, which means physics, chemistry, and especially biology. Well, maybe not especially biology, but biology. These natural sciences, if you're going to do them in college and hope to find a career on them, it's tough. And I know this is probably the last thing you want to hear, but I do not recommend it. If you want to find a career that you'll enjoy, maybe one that'll pay you well, natural sciences is not the way to go, because it's very, very oversaturated. There's tons of people who go into this, and when you do get a position in a lab and stuff, even when you do a master's or a PhD, or if you're just working in a lab as like a bachelor's, your pay is pretty bad and stuff. I mean, that depends on what you value, right? So if you want to go into biology, if you want to do biochemistry and cancer treatment, make sure that's definitely what you want to do. Be 150% certain that that's what you want to do, because once you're into it, just don't expect yourself to get a good career out of it, unless you're doing something like medical school or pharmacy school or something like that, which is really tough, by the way. So, like, you're gonna have to think about this more. So, I know this isn't the thing you want to hear, but I tell this to everyone who asks me. I just don't really recommend going to science. But if you do want to get into science, if you want to do cancer treatment research, then I applaud you. That's great. You're doing a really great thing for everyone. You're improving medicine and whatnot, and that's just great, and I respect you for that. I'm not sure on the exact chances of getting into those fields, but it shouldn't be too hard to get into some sort of biology research lab. But whether or not you're getting into one that specifically you want to research for is different. Of course, if you're going to do a master's and you have your own research topic, you can determine your own research topic. So that's perfectly fine, but you would have to do graduate school for that. $5 again from Bob, thank you. But the real question is, are traps gay? Checkmate atheists. The ultimate question, are traps gay? I'm going to say no. $5 from Jackson Gorney. Got to go. See the rest of the stream if you upload it. See ya. Thanks for tuning in, and hope you could join us for longer in the next stream. Okay. I'm going to read some regular chats now. Professor Stig, where are you from, and do you speak any other languages other than English? I am not going to answer any of those, because you're going to kind of deduce, what kind of person I am and stuff, and I kind of want to remain anonymous. I will be revealing my face in my second channel, though. My second channel is coming soon, but there is sort of like a production issue. One of our animators is sort of not on vacation, but she's busy until September. So production is being delayed, but hopefully we'll get that done soon. Thanks for the question, though. $10 from Mindo. Oh, I'm sorry. You didn't have to donate again. Fuck. Okay. I don't know how to refund that to you, but I'll refund that to you when I get a chance, maybe after the stream is over. But yeah, I should have put up a system on how to communicate with people who donate. I guess next time, I do have a Discord, so you can add me on Discord, and then after you add me on Discord, you can private message me on there if there's something you need to clarify, maybe if something like this happens again. I'm talking about a massive virus that attacks amoebas, and we just found some very small viruses that actually infect those viruses while infecting their amoebas. Hence the name virophage. Wow, I did not know that. That's really cool. If you want to give me the paper to that or something on Discord, then I would happily read that. But for now, I can't really formulate an opinion on it right now, because I am not really entirely sure what it is. But that's cool. That's really cool. Cool discovery. See, that's the cool thing about science. You discover all these really cool things all the time, right? Like, Professor Stick, can you help me get to the stick dimension? No. That's impossible. It's not possible. You'd have to break the laws of physics. Professor Stick, do you play any video games? If you do, what game is your favorite? So I play some League of Legends and I play some Fortnite mostly, and I do play some games on the Nintendo Switch. I'm a huge fan of Nintendo, but I mostly play those two, League of Legends and Fortnite right now. I don't know if I'm. Ooh, if you guys want to add me, maybe I'll see if I can do that later. But for now, I'm not going to give away my username information. But yeah, those games are fun. I don't know if you guys play League of Legends or Fortnite, but those are my favorite games right now. Okay, I'm getting back to this. Holy shit. What does the evidence reveal? Wait, am I here? Okay. The answer to the question, where do babies come from, is very well documented and uncontroversial. Life always comes from pre-existing life. However, if we go back far enough in time, is it really possible that this fundamental law is broken? Could life really spontaneously spring from non-living chemicals? What are the chances that such an event could happen? Well, you wouldn't know because you're not doing research on this. Whoever wrote this article, fuck you. Researchers have learned that for a cell to survive, at least 3 different types of complex molecules must work together. DNA, RNA, and proteins. Today, few scientists would assert that a complete living cell suddenly formed by chance from a mix of inanimate chemicals. What, though, is the probability that RNA or proteins could form by chance? Okay. I don't know where this person got, 3 types of these 3 DNA, RNA, and proteins, because at least for modern life, you definitely need those. But that's not the criteria we use to determine if something is alive or not. Of course, the line between life and non-life is so vague. Like, it's very hard to determine. We don't even know how to properly define if something is alive or not. So some scientists came up with 7 criteria that we usually follow to determine something is alive, and then we shortened it down to 3 because it turns out we don't need all of that to determine that something is alive. And these 3 are: 1 is genetic material, so that's either DNA or RNA, so it could be either one of those. 2 is a container, so it's a container that contains the DNA or the RNA. So for example, a regular cell would just be it would just be the membrane or a capsule or something. And then lastly, it would need to be able to metabolize. Now, the reason this is kind of weird is because viruses, see, we always have this debate on whether or not viruses are alive or not. Viruses have DNA and they have a container, but they don't metabolize, which is why viruses make a very weird case, because for them to reproduce, they rely on other organisms to do the metabolizing for them. So are viruses alive? I would argue yes, because they actually, they have most of the things that they're really simple, but they have a lot of things that define what a life is. Even if they are missing one, because it's so hard to define what life actually is, it's hard to determine whether or not viruses are alive. And I think both answers are legit. If you say yes or if you say no, they're both fine. And it gets even more complicated when you think about viroids, for example. Are viroids alive? Because they don't even have a container. They're just a floating piece of genetic material. Are they alive? It gets really hard to decide. So it's hard to... Oh, actually, he's not even talking about alive. He's saying for a cell to survive. Okay, that's different. Oh, that's different. Never mind. Forget what I just said. Yeah, forget what I said, but... Yeah, okay. Many scientists feel that life could arise by chance because of an experiment first conducted in 1953. This is the Miller-Urey experiment that creationists just love to bring out. Okay, in that year, Stanley L. Miller was able to produce some amino acids, the chemical building blocks of proteins, by discharging electricity into a mixture of gases that was thought to represent the atmosphere of primitive Earth. Since then, amino acids have also been found in a meteorite. Do these findings mean that all the basic building blocks of life could easily be produced by chance? It's not proof that abiogenesis can occur on primitive Earth, but it is a proof of concept. It means that it is possible to create organic material from inorganic material. It is possible that these steps could ultimately lead to life. It's a proof of concept. It's not ultimate proof that abiogenesis has occurred. And that's a distinction that is sort of important to make. $1 from Alex Lyon. Thank you. $10 from Bob. Thank you again. Wow, you guys are very generous. I clearly have nothing better to do with my money. More seriously, though, are you familiar with Kent Hovind's 250K challenge? If so, what's your opinion on it? I'm not familiar with it. If you want to send me the link on Discord, I'll be glad to check it out later. But that seems cool. I can get myself a free 250K. $1 from John Lee Pettimore. Thank you. $5 from Last Match in the Box. Would you consider a true artificial consciousness to life? A computer that is fully self-aware. And this is where consciousness... This is what makes consciousness so hard to find. Like, if you create artificial intelligence that is so intelligent, will it have its own consciousness? And by extension, what is consciousness for ourselves? And that's something that's very difficult to answer, honestly, because if you think about it, all the scientific processes, everything that comes about through naturalistic means. I guess one thing that I can sort of get on board with creationists is like, where did consciousness come from? Because according to evolutionary theory, not evolutionary theory, but like science in general, things are made up of molecules made by amino acids and made by whatever. At what point is consciousness actually in there? And by extension, do other organisms have consciousness, like other animals, maybe even plants and whatnot? I mean, probably not plants, but of course it's going to be your brain that creates this consciousness. But we know so little about the brain. How do we know? And then how does an artificial intelligence machine actually get consciousness? Do we have to replicate something that is sort of similar to how the brain functions? Like, it's really hard to say. And I think it's one of those questions that for now it's okay to just say I don't know, and then when scientists do figure out more information on it, we'll be able to confirm more on what consciousness actually is. 140. What is? I don't even know what RUB is. $149. I'll just say. Dexel bro, please make a vid about existence of God. Yes. I have quite a few videos on that. If you want to go check them out, it's all over my channel. Thanks for the donation. $2 from Darwinian Realism. Claims of biological sex not existing. Thoughts? What? How does that? Is there someone claiming that biological sex doesn't exist? Like, that guy's clearly a virgin. I don't know. That's kind of weird. Is there actually a video of someone claiming that? You can find the wildest things on YouTube, and I think that's just crazy. People just, like, fucking no shame, just upload, like, I don't know. Some writer says Robert Shapiro, professor emeritus of chemistry at New York University, had presumed that all life's building blocks could be formed with ease in the Miller-type experiments that were present in meteorites. That is not the case. All right. Consider the RNA molecule. It is not constructed of smaller molecules called nucleotides. It is constructed of smaller molecules called nucleotides. A nucleotide is a different molecule from an amino acid and is only slightly more complex. Well, I would say a nucleotide is less complex than an amino acid, but okay. Shapiro says that no nucleotides of any kind have been reported as products of spark discharge experiments or in studies of meteorites. He further states that the probability of a self-replicating RNA molecule randomly assembling from a pool of chemical building blocks is so vanishingly small that it's happening even once anywhere in the viable universe would count as a piece of exceptional good luck. I don't know who the scientist is, but I'm sure there are plenty of scientists who would disagree with him. And that's certainly not the scientific consensus saying that, basically RNA can't form, because that's sort of the leading theory. The leading idea of abiogenesis coming around is that the first forms of life did not come about through RNA, did not come about because of DNA. It came about through RNA. The first organisms had RNA because in order for the first organisms to survive, its genetic material, it would have either had to have DNA, RNA, or proteins. One of those is actually fine, and we can consider it life as long as it's able to replicate and stuff. So the conditions are it has to be stable, so it's not destroyed by like anything, and that rules out DNA because DNA is very fragile and it's very easy to be mutated. It's very easily to be just destroyed and reacted by literally anything. Literally any carcinogens that I've been talking about in all my cancer videos. Carcinogens, the things that mutate your DNA, are basically everywhere. Everything basically mutates your DNA. Everything reacts with your DNA. Well, not like everything, but like I'm just exaggerating here. So that rules out DNA. The other condition is that it has to be able to replicate. Proteins cannot replicate by itself, which is why we rule out proteins. RNA is the only thing that can do both of these things, be stable under harsh conditions and also replicate. So that's why we suspect that it is RNA. I'm sure other scientists have like other reasoning on why this is the case, but that's sort of what it is. in my mind at least. What about protein molecules? They can be made from as new as 50 or as many as several thousand amino acids bound together in a highly specific order. The average functional protein in a sample cell contains 200 amino acids. Even in those cells, there are thousands of different types of proteins. The probability that just one protein containing only 100 amino acids could ever randomly form on Earth has been calculated to be about 1 chance in a million billion. Okay, so we're just talking about probability here, so we're not really suspecting that proteins were the first type of information that early organisms have. So I'm not even going to really comment on this. I don't know. I'm not going to fact check the chances of this either, but I'm sure they have it cited somewhere, I guess. Okay, I'm going to skip around a bit because this is, I'm going to skip to the second question because this is taking way too long. It's been almost an hour and I haven't even gotten through the first one. Professor Stick, dude, you need to give us your Fortnite username. Okay, maybe I will, but not right now. Maybe on Discord or something. I might make my own Discord because I've been leeching off Heath's Discord for a while, his channel, and I've been sort of just hanging about there. And it's time for me to make my own channel, so I don't know. Maybe I will. Professor Stick, why did you decide to do a face reveal? I know I may have made that mistake in the comment section. I'm not a native English speaker. I don't know. I thought it'd be interesting to actually be in front of a camera. When I started, I was really paranoid about people doxing me and people actually finding out where I live and shit and giving me death threats. But I feel like at least just revealing my face, it's honestly not going to be a big deal. Like, there are plenty of YouTubers that do that who are doing perfectly fine. Like, hi, I think I'm real. I know he reveals his face but not his name, and I don't really see him complaining about getting death threats and whatnot. Okay, question 2. Okay. Is any form of life really simple? Your body is one of the most complex structures in the universe. It is made up of some 100 trillion tiny cells, bone cells, blood cells, brain cells, to name a few. In fact, there are more than 200 different types of cells in your body, okay? Despite their amazing diversity in shape and function, your cells form an intricate, integrated network. The internet, with its millions of computers and high-speed data cables, is clumsy in comparison. Honestly, I don't know. I might have to disagree. People are always like, the body is so complex. It's like, it holds like all this information, and they compare it to like the internet or like any piece of technology. And yes, the body is complex, but to say it's more complex than the internet, I don't know. My personal opinion is that I would disagree, but, I don't know. You'd have to go into detail on what you're specifically comparing. No human invention can compete with the technical brilliance evident in even the most basic of cells. How did the cells that make up the human body come into existence? So this is another case of just, look how amazing the body is, therefore God created everything. $5 from Darwinian Realism, again, thank you. Jordan Peterson debate on Canadian show The Agenda. Historian of medicine claims it's not correct that there is such thing as biological sex. I feel like this is, like, the way I'm reading it now seems like it's sort of like a wordplay, I guess. It seems like wordplay to me. I don't know. Is he defining biological sex as something else and then saying it doesn't exist? Because I hate it when people do that, going like, oh, you're debating on this one like word or something, and then people are like, oh, it means this actually. And then I'm just like, okay, fine, you can redefine it as that, but that doesn't change what I originally said, in my point. It's just, I don't like it when people do that. I don't know if there's a logical fallacy for that, but there should be one. But anyway, yeah, is he defining biological sex as something else? In that case, I would have to hear the argument, I guess. But opinions on Jordan Peterson, I'm honestly not really a huge fan of him. I mean, I don't know. How did someone like that even get so famous? I don't know. It's not really my place to complain or anything. I don't really care about the fame of other people. Or sometimes I do. All living cells fall into 2 major categories, those with a nucleus and those without. Human, animal, and plant cells have a nucleus. Bacterial cells do not. That is true. Cells with a nucleus are called eukaryotic. Those without a nucleus are called prokaryotic. Since prokaryotic cells are relatively less complex than eukaryotic cells, many believe that animal and plant cells must have evolved from bacterial cells. So, Okay. I mean, it's nice how this creationist site is giving us information on the history of cells. What are the differences between prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells. I like it when creationists come and actually give hard, like, true information about these, but then they end up twisting at the end, and that just kind of gets annoying. I'm like, you were sticking to such good science, and now you have to go and ruin it all by plugging God into the equation. But yeah, we didn't specifically evolve from bacterial cells. I think the word bacterial cells is, I would consider it more referring to the modern bacterial cells. It's more accurate to say prokaryotic cells because that encompasses like a larger group of cells. Because bacteria, when we say bacteria, we generally refer to eubacteria. It doesn't usually refer to archaebacteria. In case you guys don't know, there's more than one bacteria type. So yeah, I mean, I guess I'll let that slide. In fact, many teach that for millions of years, some simple prokaryotic cells swallowed other cells but did not digest them. Instead, the theory goes, unintelligent nature found out a way not only to make radical changes in the function of the ingested cells, but also to keep the adapted cells inside the host when it replicated. Yes, that's what happened. And considering how many cells there are, how many mutations are experienced, especially by prokaryotic cells, considering all of that, and considering you have so much time, like 1 billion years for this to happen, that is something like this is going to happen eventually, and it's going to dominate. It's hard for us to imagine, but if you imagine it as like a slow forming process, maybe some cells have learned to ingest other cells as like for food. And when they ingest other cells, you have trillions of this case happening, of cells ingesting other cells. And then just that one time that a mutation occurred that allowed the ingested cell not to be digested and to form a symbiotic relationship with the host. Can you imagine that? Although the chances are small, you have 1 billion years to do so, all these mutations and tons of cells all happening at the same time doing this. Now, does that seem unrealistic? Not as unrealistic when you put it that way, does it? Is it? $5 from Farhago again, thank you. When a woman is pregnant, when does the baby count as being a person? So this gets into the debate on, if you like abortion, I guess. If you guys don't know, I made like 2 videos on abortion like a long time ago. I am pro-choice myself. So it's hard to say whether when the baby actually is considered a person. But, for example, the Catholic Church always says, life begins at conception. That's a human being as soon as the egg is fertilized, which I think is absolute horseshit, because you can't define, this is sort of what I said earlier, you can't really define when life starts, because life itself cannot be easily defined. What made that fertilized egg different from a non-fertilized egg and the sperm separately? How is it different in any way to make it considered a human life? And every time when the cells when it becomes a blastocyst, when it becomes like a zygote to blastocyst to whatnot, and eventually like a fetus, it's such a gradual process. At what point does it become a human being? It's sort of like imagine you had like a swimming pool and you're adding water drop by drop. Which drop is it that makes the swimming pool overflow? You can't identify which drop it is. And it's just like when humans are developing in the womb, for example, when can you identify if that is a human being or not? Like, at what point is that a thing? It's really hard to say. So, and it's a good question. What do you guys think? Hey, Professor Stick, love your videos. Have you been converted to the flat earth religion yet? Oh, I've been converted long ago. The earth is flat. Professor Stick, I'd love to be a part of your staff if you decide to make a Discord server. Would you consider it? Yeah, you know what? I'm looking for people. I'll look for people to be moderators. I know there are some people from Hiet's Discord who have been pretty good moderators, so I might recruit them first. And after that, maybe I'll recruit some other people. See how it goes. I mean, I'm not even sure if I'm going to make a Discord yet, so just don't be hopeful. Like, I'm definitely going to make a Discord eventually, and there is going to be a Discord for my second channel once that is out. But Discord for my main channel, I'm gonna have to think about that for a bit. And I think it's likely, but it's not guaranteed. Professor Stick, what LOZ game, Legend of Zelda game, is your favorite? I remember you saying you love the series in a vid. Yeah, I think one of my favorite game series is The Legend of Zelda, in case you guys didn't know that. I think the world it depicts is just beautiful. I love the characters. I love all the game mechanics and whatnot. Like the style of it. It's just great. I think my favorite. It might be Twilight Princess. Twilight Princess might be my favorite one. I was actually at Anime Expo last week. I put on Discord in case you guys don't. Yeah, follow me on Discord. I put a lot of announcements on what I'm doing in my life. I was in Anime Expo last week and I got this really cool Legend of Zelda poster that I'm hoping to hang up soon. But yeah, pretty excited about that. I don't know if you guys are a fan of Legend of Zelda, but I'm kind of like a freak about it. Professor Stick, what's your least favorite thing to respond to? Flat Earth, no doubt. Professor Stick, do you think there's other life out there, and have you ever been a Christian? I do think there probably is other life out there, but Chris Kassad did a bunch of good videos about the barrier of life. That would explain the what was it called? Fermi paradox? Was that what it's called? Fuck, I forgot. But yeah, I do think there are life that we will eventually discover life out there. But if we do discover something, I'm thinking my guess is that's going to be like a worm or something. Like it's not going to be something super impressive like an intelligent alien. Shit, I forgot your other question. Oh, have I ever been a Christian? I was sort of a Christian when I was a kid. My parents brought me to church and whatnot, but they didn't really indoctrinate me hard. So I was like, oh yeah, God exists, Jesus exists, but I literally knew nothing. I didn't know Jesus died at the cross. I didn't know like any of that. I didn't know any of the teachings. I was just like, yeah, God exists, So I guess I was a Christian, but not really. All right, RUB 149 from Dexelbro. Is water wet? I think that by some engineering definition, water only solid objects could be wet. I don't know. So I in that sense, I would say water isn't wet. But yeah, I don't know. My gut says that water is wet. $2 from Leah Bitterwolf. What is your opinion on human head transplants? I cannot wait for that to be a thing. I think the advancement of science is absolutely amazing right now. And to be able to transplant somebody's head onto another body, just imagine, holy shit, how many your spinal cord, your central nervous system is very, very delicate. If you damage it in the wrong way, you're going to permanently destroy somebody. That's why spinal cord injuries are like horrible, because then you get paralyzed and shit. So head transplant, just imagine that. You have to be able to sever all these connections that are part of your central nervous system in your spine, and then reconnect it onto the body of another fully functional spinal cord. That is absolutely crazy, and I don't even know how they're gonna do it. But I know it's starting to become a thing, and I definitely want to read more about that. But I'm very fascinated by how they can even do that. Like this just shows how advanced medicine is becoming, and I'm really excited to see what medicine can deliver to us in the future. $5 from Farhago again. Thank you. Sending this question because I've seen this question being asked multiple times in the chat. What is your stance on free will? I think free will is an illusion. But ultimately, I do think that depends on how you define free will. But I do think, see, it's kind of hard. I would say that free will doesn't exist simply because you cannot control your tendencies. If you want to do something, or if you're inclined to do something, how was it your choice that you want to do that? I think Cosmic Skeptic did a pretty good video on this, where he described it. Like he gave an analogy. If you wanted to choose between a strawberry or like a chocolate ice cream, what makes you choosing strawberry ice cream may seem like you have free will, but was it your free will to want that strawberry ice cream? To choose that ice cream, you would have had to want it, but how did you control which one you wanted? So I guess that's also like, I don't know. That's just something to think about, I guess. My stance is that free will doesn't exist, and I also do somewhat think that from this perspective, I do think about this sometimes, is that the universe has that fourth dimension which we call time, right? And if time was linear, or if you could see time in the future, then you would argue that there's no free will, right? Because you're inevitably going to do something that's in that timeline. So I think our brains we process time in a linear fashion, how that we process things to be in the past, we process things to be in the future. But from like the universe or the outside point of view, I don't know much about physics, but from my thoughts, I guess time is sort of like a static thing, something that you can observe from the outside. So in that sense, that means our futures have been determined for us. I don't know. It's really weird. It's kind of weird. Don't quote me on that, because I'm not going to use that in an argument against free will. It's just something I think about, I guess. Okay, I'm going to read the chat a bit more, and then I'm going to get back to this. Oh, geez. Oh, my chat has frozen up. Professor Stick, can a new early organism be formed in the modern ocean, starting a new tree of life? See, a lot of people are saying, oh, if life can form, spontaneously, naturally, why isn't it happening today? And here's the reason it doesn't happen today, okay? It's very possible that conditions of Earth today are able to create, life, start a new line of life. However, any life that forms through this method are going to be heavily outcompeted by modern life, who have had billions of years to adapt to the environment. Because they literally just formed, they will be unable to actually compete. And because they're unable to compete, they're going to die. And once they die, they're just going to go extinct, and basically nothing's ever happened. We're never really going to know that it happened, if it happens, that is. So that's a good question. $5 from Bob. If free will indeed doesn't exist, how can we justify holding people accountable for their actions? Also, I DM'd you the aforementioned article. Okay, yeah, I'll check out the article later. We can have a conversation on Discord if you want later. But yeah, how can we hold people accountable for their actions if free will doesn't exist? Yep, this feels more like philosophy, which is not really something I'm really well versed in. I'm just not really good. I just don't really specialize in philosophical thought, I guess. I'm more of a science person. But if you were to ask my opinion, holding people accountable doesn't mean you're holding them accountable because they chose to do that action. You're holding them accountable because of the fact that they performed that action. So if you jail somebody for robbing a bank or something, that prevents them from robbing another bank. That prevents them from hurting another person or murdering somebody or raping someone or whatnot in the future. It's not necessarily because they chose that. It's sort of because, for example, if there's something out of your control, if there's how do I say this? Yeah, I mean, just because it's their free will doesn't mean their actions can't be punished for, is my opinion. If people were forced into that, maybe if somebody held a gun to this guy's family and was like, oh, go fucking kill this guy or kill these 10 people, that doesn't mean you're not going to hold that guy accountable for killing 10 people. Maybe he didn't have a choice in it or something. Yeah, I think free will is independent on whether or not you should hold people accountable for certain actions. Okay, anyway, I'm gonna get through more of this website. Oh, it's been well over an hour. Holy shit. Okay, I'm gonna skip a bit. The Bible states that life on earth is the product of an intelligent mind. Note that the Bible's clear logic. Of course, every house is constructed by someone, but he that constructed all things is God. Another Bible passage says, how many your works are, O Jehovah, all of them in wisdom you have made. The earth is full of your productions. There are moving things without number, living creatures, small as well as great. What does the evidence reveal? Advances in microbiology have made it possible to peer into the awe-inspiring interior of the simplest living prokaryotic cells known. Evolutionary scientists theorize that the first living cells must have looked something like these cells. Okay, I'm guessing it's this. Wait. Okay, I'm not going to click on another link for now, so we're just going to continue. Oh god, what happened? If the theory of evolution is true, it should offer a plausible explanation of how the first simple cell formed by chance. On the other hand, if life was created, there should be evidence of ingenious design even in the smallest of creatures. Why not take a tour of a prokaryotic cell? As you do so, ask yourself whether, yes, perfect. You know what? You should teach people about prokaryotic cells. I like that. I like just the information part, not the conclusion you derive from these things. Okay, I'm going to skip a bit. Like the wall surrounding a factory, the membrane of a cell shields the contents from a potentially hostile environment. However, the membrane is not solid. It allows the cell to breathe, permitting small molecules such as oxygen to pass in or out. But the membrane blocks more complex, potentially damaging molecules from entering without the cell's permission. Yes. The membrane also prevents useful molecules from leaving the cell. How does the membrane manage such feats? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, some of these proteins, one, have a hole through the middle of them that allows specific types of molecules in and out of the cell. Let's see. Okay, so this is just called like a channel. Ion channels let ions just pass through. Two, let me see. Okay, they have a docking site, okay, these are just different types. So this is the ATP pumped ones where it opens on one side. Upon the introduction of ATP attaching to this, it'll open up the other side. Of course, you know, you have a phosphate group leaving and then the ADP leaves. So usually just attach it to open up on one side, detach it to open on the other side. So that's how pumps work. Oh wait, where's that number 2? No, just kidding. Whatever, holy shit. $10 from E. Richamian. Okay, sorry, I butchered that. Does Australia exist? No, you see, because gravity only pulls things downwards, Australia must be upside down, so it's impossible for it to exist, obviously. Obviously. Are there any popular conspiracy theories that you do believe in? See, a conspiracy theory doesn't necessarily mean it's like, it doesn't, a lot of people get this confused, but it doesn't mean it's like, you know, false or something. A lot of conspiracy theorists themselves always define conspiracy theory like as like a false theory, alternative theory to something. But that's not always the case. There's been plenty of conspiracy theories that have turned out to be true. I can't really think of anything off the top of my head, but so far I can't really think of anything, so I'm going to say no for that. They're usually pretty crazy ideas, I guess. Conspiracy theories. Professor Stick, are you big gay? No, I'm not. I don't even know what that question means. Imagine that you have been allowed past the security guard and are now inside the cell. The interior of a prokaryotic cell is filled with a watery fluid that is rich in nutrients, salts, and other substances. The cell uses these raw ingredients to manufacture the products it needs. The process is not haphazard. Like an efficiently run factory, the cell organizes thousands of chemical reactions so that they can take place in a specific order and according to a set timetable. I don't know if you, like, certainly a lot of things are efficient, but not everything is. And that's the thing about cells and living things. And that's sort of how we know things came about through evolution, because, you know, evolution just says that things don't have to be the best way possible. It just has to work, which means even if it's not the most efficient, as long as it works, it will be selected out by natural selection, especially if it comes before the mutation that would have caused the most efficient method to come about. I know that's kind of confusing, but just bear with me. Professor Stick, do you support the LGBTQ community? Yes, I do support people who are gay, bisexual, lesbian, whatnot. Or trans. Like, I definitely support that they should have equal rights. But of course, we're getting into politics now. Whether or not they should have more rights than the average person, of course they shouldn't. Everyone should be equal. No matter what race you are, you know, where you come from, people should just be treated equally. But that doesn't mean that we should lift the LGBT community or, you know, or like black people and whatnot above society and give them more rights than the average person. I think that's pretty ridiculous. I think that's sort of the focus of your question. Were you asking me about that? A cell spends a lot of time making proteins. How does it do so? First, you should see the cell make about 20 different basic building blocks called amino acids. So about the time, you know, you can say it spends a lot of time. You know, I'm not going to nitpick or anything, but cells actually form proteins really, really fast. The process of creating amino acids, linking them together, and folding them to the proper shape actually happens like super fast. You're not even going to be able to react to it. Especially for prokaryotic cells, they're exceptionally fast at making proteins. Eukaryotic cells are a bit different because the RNA has to be modified first before it leaves the nucleus, and amongst various other things. But yeah, it's still really fast. Okay, $2 from Mendel. I put a link to the Virophage page in your Discord. Okay, thank you. I'll check it out later. Maybe we can, if you want, we could have a conversation in the Discord later if you want. Oh yeah, if you guys want to talk to me on Discord, I'm always available to talk. I do respond somewhat slowly. Okay, I'm not really active on Heath's channel so much anymore, so if you want to talk to me, it's better if you just directly message me. I'm always active on Twitter, but not in the DMs of Twitter. So if you DM me something on Twitter, I might not see it. I most likely won't see it. But if you add me on Twitter saying something, I will most likely see that. If you private message me on Discord, I will see it, but it might take a while for me to see it. Sometimes I remember it took me like even like a week or something to even respond, and I'm sorry about that. I just don't go on Discord too often. I go a lot on Twitter though, and on YouTube. Okay, £2 from Aviathon Master. Oh god, you guys are gonna kill me for saying that wrong. What do you think about rat testing? Okay, I know a lot of people hate animal testing, and of course it's not pleasant, but that will completely depend on what your values are. If you value the advancement of medicine, making the lives of people better, potentially curing like uncurable diseases, potentially making it so that nobody fears cancer anymore, then would that be worth it? Because most of the things scientists develop hypotheses, and one of the first steps that you take once you develop this hypothesis and you want to test it is that you have to test it on animals. And mice and rats are by far the two most common animals to test, partly because mice specifically are really popular because they reproduce like crazy. They fuck like crazy, so they reproduce a lot, and they're also very similar to the genome of humans. So things we observe in a mice will likely be able to be replicated in a human. Of course, the majority of them aren't, which is where clinical trials come in. But we have to start somewhere. So as someone I've actually worked with quite a bit of mice when I was in the ovarian cancer research lab. We had to do things like, we would inject them, image them for things. And while we're doing this, we do follow a protocol that actually makes sure that you treat the animals humanely, which means there are certain things you can't do to animals. You have to make sure you give them you have to pet them and stuff. You have to make sure they feel comfortable. You have to give them plenty of food and water, no abuse. Things like, for example, you have to make sure that female mice don't go in a cage by themselves. That's very important. For those of you who are working in who will eventually work with mice or whatnot, don't put a female mouse by themselves. They kind of go crazy if you do that, and you want to make sure they maintain the proper mental health as well. So we try to be as ethical as possible, but of course still some people are going to not like the idea of animal testing. So for me, although I don't like the idea of animal testing, I don't like how we treat animals, and I think that I think we should replace it if we find a better alternative, because right now there's not really a better alternative to this. If we do find a better alternative, I'm all for that other new method. But for now, I do think that conducting this research is worth the advancement of medicine. I don't know what you guys think, so let me know. Professor Stick, are there things that you believe in non-religiously, like theories you have that are unsubstantiated? No, not really. Not really. If there's anything I would somewhat believe in, it would be like, oh, you know what? I think there's a mechanism or a protein pathway or a mechanism in cancer that I think could be the case. So I'd be like, oh yeah, I kind of believe that because it like makes logical sense. But of course, you have to go in and actually test it. So there were times where I was like, this would make sense, here. And I would listen to other people create with hypotheses as well. And inside the laboratory, we would discuss and stuff like this is possibly how this mechanism occurs, and we want to test that. In which case, I'll be like, that makes very logical sense, and I believe that that could be the case. But of course, I'm not going to say it's fact until we actually go in and prove it. So I guess if that you consider that as unsubstantiated, then yeah, I guess that counts. Professor Stig, do you believe in the multiverse? I do believe that the multiverse is very plausible. Um, but I do think the most plausible multiverse is the one that that the universe is so massive that the speed of light cannot travel from one area to like an area that's super far away due to how fast the universe is expanding, because the universe is expanding faster than the speed of light. So information of anything cannot get across to these. So I would call these it's actually the bubble multiverse, where these universes, they exist on the same like quote universe, I guess, but because they can never communicate with each other, you can consider them different universes. That multiverse theory I definitely think is quite plausible. But other multiverse theories, we'll have to see. Okay, $2 from Mindle. You ever heard of Thunderfoot? Yes, I've heard of Thunderfoot. Is actually the first channel I watched to get into the atheist community. I remember watching his Why Do People Laugh at Creationist videos, and I found them very entertaining, and I like binged them all, and that's sort of how I got into this. But that was so long ago. It took me a long time before I decided to start a channel myself. So yeah, you can consider him as one of my inspirations to actually start YouTube. $2 from Farhago. I bought a Professor Stick T-shirt the other day. Yes, you did. So I guess in case you guys don't know, the other day I had someone design some merch for me. So if you want to, they're underneath my video. If you just scroll down like a little bit if you're on a computer, that is, there's an advertisement for my merch store that's connected to my Teesprings, because YouTube just started this. They made a contract with Teespring, so now like merch for specific channels can appear under the video. You're not going to see it for all the channels yet, but I was one of the few lucky ones to be selected to do like the early phase, I guess. So that's pretty cool. If you buy through that link, you do get the creator gets $1 extra for the purchase. So that's pretty cool. I don't think you can see it on mobile yet. So in mobile, you'd have to click the description and scroll down to the Teespring store to actually purchase it. I'm not sure too much how that works, or if they're going to roll that function out to mobile users. $2 from Glenn Lusk. Would you watch a video off my channel for $2? I'll watch anyone's channel. If you think you have quality content that's related to my channel that presents some interesting facts, like, I don't know, it could be science, it could be atheism, it could be like addressing conspiracy theories, feel free to give it to me on Twitter, it could be on Discord. And if I see it, like, I'll definitely at least give one video a watch. I mean, I'm always down to watching other people's videos. It's just I haven't had too much time lately to be watching YouTube. I've been slacking a lot. I used to be watching like everyone's videos, like Godless Craniums, every one of Godless Engineers' videos. I was watching all of Heath's videos, all of Thunderfoot's and whatnot. But like I've been slacking recently, so I don't know. I mean, I'll try to watch as many videos as I can. So if you have a video on your channel that you have just started, feel free to send it to me. I'll check it out. I don't know how much feedback I can give, because personally, I'm not really good at video creation myself, as you can tell. Like, my animations are fucking shit. I don't know. I'm very critical of myself, so. Okay. Oh shit. Wow. Okay. I have one more minute, so I guess I'll just quickly read another paragraph. Actually, you know what? I'm just gonna leave this here for now. Wow, we didn't get through wow, I skipped a lot, and we hardly got through anything because it took so long to answer your questions. Maybe I should just do a video just on like a Q&A. That way I can have my full focus on that. If you guys want to see that, just let me know. Well, take some time, maybe answer a few more questions before I go. Professor Stick, are you a gamer? And if so, what video games or sports do you enjoy? Yeah, I answered earlier. On another question, I play League of Legends and I play Fortnite, and I do play some Switch games if I have the chance, and occasionally I do play some Steam games as well, like Don't Starve, or whatnot. But I'm pretty stubborn when it comes to games. So if I usually I'm okay with giving games tries, but if it doesn't really impress me, I usually don't go back to play it. Oh geez, my chat is not updated. Sorry. Don't Starve is awesome. OMG, yes, it is quite awesome. Professor Stick, do you dislike/hate religion or just not believe in it? I don't dislike it. I just don't believe in it, and I do think it does hinder people from science. I feel like a lot of people who are resistant to progress, scientific progress in society, are people who are really, religious. Or not saying that everyone who opposes progress are religious. Just like it's just a lot of hardcore religious fanatics are usually opposed to progress. Professor Say, do you like Despacito? I think it's a pretty good song, but I'm kind of tired of it by now. Professor Stick, you should debunk some flat earth / conspiracy theory Instagram pages. Wow, I didn't even think that. Holy shit. Flat earth is everywhere. God damn it. Why is it so popular these days? Professor Stick, since you play games, what's your favorite game or favorite game series? I like The Legend of Zelda. It's probably my favorite game series. Professor Stick, what atheist channels do you like or dislike? I like all the atheist channels, I think. But there are some atheist channels I don't. I think a lot of channels that went from atheism and then went to politics. I'm not a huge fan of right wing political channels, who started off as atheist channels. I don't know. I'm just not like a huge fan of those channels. Did I answer the question? Fuck, I forgot. Hey, Professor Stick, have you got a stick girlfriend yet? Yes, I do. Maybe I'll ask her to say hi. But she's shy, so probably not. Professor Stick, what is your favorite thing to debunk? Cancer stuff. That's my favorite thing. Why do you think people actually believe flat Earth? I think people believe flat Earth for sort of the same reason they believe in any conspiracy theory, whether it is that 9/11 was an inside job, or that scientists are withholding the cure for cancer and stuff. Is sort of, I think, the feeling of going like, oh, I know something that you guys don't, and you guys should see the truth. You guys should wake up. I think it's a pretty satisfying feeling, I guess for them. So I think it's sort of a rewarding condition for them. They get a kick out of it. I don't know. There's also lack of education that people just believe in that kind of stuff. Okay, I'll answer a few more and then I have to go. Professor Stick, were you an atheist when you were young, or did you believe in God when you were young? I believed in God when I was young, but I wasn't really religious. I didn't follow any religious traditions. I didn't really know anything about the Bible, so I don't know. I did believe in God at one point, though. Professor Stick, which right-wing YouTube channels are you referring to? I don't know. I see a lot of the popular ones right now, I guess, are like... trying to name some. I don't really keep up with much. But I know a lot of the popular right-wing channels right now are like... what's that? Andy Warski, Bering, Blair White. I'm just not a fan of them. I don't know. There was a point in my life where I did enjoy watching their content, but then... after a while, I just couldn't stand them anyway. In case you guys don't know, I'm left wing myself. I did post my political compass once on Twitter, so I don't know if you want to scroll that far to see my political standings. But I'm like a whatchamacallit, a left libertarian. So yeah. Is communism a good idea? Now, see, I don't think communism is a good idea right now, but hear me out. I do think that in the far future, when robots take over all the jobs and we inevitably have, a few people controlling all the machines while leaving everyone extremely poor, I think more government control is going to be worth it. like something like communism, but maybe not like it. But that would require like there to be like, you know, hypothetically an infinite amount of resources for everyone, and that, you know, machinery takes over everyone's jobs or something like that. Then I think that it's that communism would, something like a communistic idea would be fine for the society. I don't know what you guys think about that. How do I convince my cousin that a cancer cure is not discovered yet and being hidden from us? I think the only way to really, it's hard for someone to fathom the idea of there will never be a cancer cure if they're not in the field of cancer. We will always develop new and better treatments towards increasing the probability of curing cancer. But ultimately, there's not going to be just one magic pill or one magic, you know, treatment that's going to end up destroying, like curing your cancer. And you'll understand this more once if you ever get into cancer. Especially, for example, if someone gets to super late stage cancer, is there ever going to be a cure for that? Like, not really. It's the way that cancer cells adapt. Cancer cells will always find a way to adapt. It's almost, I always like to say that cancer almost feels like they have a brain of their own. It always feels like they're thinking, how they're like adapting to ways to resist the treatments that you're giving. So that's why cancer is so scary, because they're always adapting, and we have to adapt with it, which is why a lot of treatments are becoming more and more personalized. Oh shit. Yeah, but yeah, just tell them that cancer will always adapt to treatments, so we're always going to have to develop new and better treatments. Yeah. Okay. All right. I have well overstayed my time, so I'm not going to read the regular chat anymore, but I will go over the last few super chats. $2 from Mindel. Have you heard of Anita Sarkeesian? Yes, I have. I'm not a fan of her. I think her claims are pretty fucking ridiculous. $5 from Last Match in the Box. What are your thoughts on Dorkley's video on anthropomorphic girls? Do you agree or not? I don't know what he claimed on that, but I don't think that you should really shame people for getting into, you know, furry stuff or anthropomorphic girls and whatnot. I mean, it's just people's fetishes, and they're not hurting anybody for doing it, so just let them be. But I don't know what Dorkley said on that. I'll have to check it out. £2 from Aviation Master. Cops did 911 cops 911. There is a proof. Wait, what? I'm not sure what he's saying there. Sorry. $2 from Swishiest Metal. Ever play Warframe on PS4? I have not. I don't really play PS4 or Xbox games. The only console games I really play is is Nintendo. I buy like all the Nintendo consoles because I'm a huge fan of them. But when I did have a roommate back when I was in college, and he had like an Xbox, and we would play some games too. I'd never played Warframe on the PS4 though. Is it good? Maybe I'll try it. I don't know if I'm willing to drop a few $100 buying a PS4 though. Okay. Anyway, that is the end of the super chat. So thanks guys for watching. I hope I didn't fuck up too much, or if I'm like super awkward or anything. This is my first live stream after all, so hope you guys enjoyed. I'm going to do this again in the future, maybe even next week. I don't even know if I will, but probably in the next few weeks. I'm more comfortable with just releasing videos on a regular basis, just spending a few hours during the week to do it. That way I don't have to actually plan something, because I don't know, I just don't like doing that. So yeah, I do have a Flat Earth video, which is coming out next, so stay tuned for that. And thanks for watching. Bye.